At around 2100 hours on November the 5th, 2003, the ScotRail service from Dice to Edinburgh Waverley passed Delta 1002 at danger. The signal protects Broughty Ferry level crossing, and the barriers were raised. The train passed over the crossing at between 60 and 70 miles an hour. This was a bonfire night that Steve Foy would rather forget, but to help us find out what went wrong, he has agreed to relive the nightmare.
I'm basically just looking at the speed of, looking at the brakes, hoping that it's going to stop. And you're sitting there thinking, stop, 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 stop.
It was a bonfire night prank that began the chain of events that nearly led to disaster. Someone set fire to the salt bin on Broughty Ferry station. At 20:35, the driver of a passing train saw smoke and reported the fire to the Dundee Signalling Centre. Doogie Hill was the signaller on duty at the time.
That message is understood. You are reporting a fire on the downside platform at Broughty Ferry Station. Thank you for that. I will advise emergency services and Network Rail Control. Signaller out. I was on duty. I received a call from a train driver that he informed me there was a fire at Broughty Ferry Station. I acknowledged the receipt of his message and put on my monitor to see it, and I could see a glow within the station. Then phoned the 999 emergency call, which goes through via our control, and advised them of the situation there. I also advised them that the line would be blocked to trains, so therefore, you know, the fire staff would be okay to go on the line and whatever. I then phoned Carnoustie signal box and advised him of the situation. He told me he had a train approaching, which was 1 Bravo 47. He asked me if he wished to stop him. I asked him would it result in, you know, throwing the signal back in his face, and he said yes. I said no, let him run, because I have a stop signal in rear of Broughty Ferry crossing, and the train will stop there.
Carnoustie signal box, signaller speaking. 1 Bravo 47, he's just passing me right now. Do you want me to put Charlie Alpha 18 back to danger? No, okay then.
As the fire brigade arrived to tackle the fire at Broughty Ferry, the train was passing through Balmossy Station at 90 miles an hour. It was now that Steve Foy got his first indication that something was wrong. Signal Delta 1002 Romeo was showing a single yellow. He immediately placed the brake controller into step 3, then moved between steps 2 and 3 for about 17 seconds.
The speed wasn't coming down as fast as it should have been. I knew before I passed the yellow that if the next signal was red, I was to stop. Once it was an emergency, you feel it jerking. You can feel it gripping, you can feel it when it gets a grip and when it doesn't. And you're also watching the WSP light out like the corner of your eye, and you can see it flickering. You know you're struggling. I knew I was in trouble. Reckon roughly I must have been at least 70 miles per hour when I passed this red. Saw the red approaching and knew I wasn't stopping. Knew. Not even going to be close to stop.
Jesus. Look, I'm going to have to go here. The 1 Bravo 47 has just spudded right through Broughty Ferry Station. Dundee box signal.
Hi, hello, signalman driver of 1 Bravo 47.
Ah yes, go ahead driver, 1 Bravo 47, over.
I've just went past the red there and right through Broughty Ferry, over.
That is understood. You realise you have spudded through Broughty Ferry Station. Please bring your train to a control stop and then come back to me on the phone. Is that understood, over?
The honest truth was I never seen really a lot ahead. Seen the station. I never seen the gates up, never seen fire engines, anything like that. I'm basically just looking at the speedo, looking at the brakes, hoping that it's going to stop. And you're sitting there thinking, stop, 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 stop. It does puzzle me that I never blew the horn, but at the time you're maybe thinking of other things. And everything happens that quick. Even though they say you might have been skidding for 90 seconds, to you it feels like a second. You're just sitting, hoping to stop as quick as you can. Even though there's nothing you can do. You're just sitting there hoping. It never entered it never even entered, I never even thought about the gates or the barriers or anything.
Steve's train had overrun the danger signal by 1,710 yards. The Dundee DTM, Roy McCartney, was informed of the SPAD and made his way to the train.
I drove the car down to Broughty Ferry, which is about 300-400 yards from the actual signal, and I started to walk towards the signal where I expected the train to be, and it was actually one of Network Rail's staff said, "You're going the wrong way, it's about a mile that way," which I found quite surprising. It was nearly 2 miles the train had moved from when the driver had initially put the brake on until where he stopped, which was shocking, really.
All right, Matt.
How are you doing?
All right.
A bit of problem there, eh? How you feeling? You all right?
Fine, Matt.
Good. Well, what's happening here is I've got to take the train to Dundee, and we'll have a chat in Dundee about what happened rather than do that here. I was surprised the length of overrun, certainly, but it is an area that's known to most of drivers that work that line. As a line, it's an area that's quite bad, really, for adhesion, and extra care has to be taken. The distance signal is situated between two bridges on a left-hand bend, which had some trees near the distance signal, and you get roughly about 8 seconds sighting distance of the signal at 90 miles an hour. Steve did react well. He put the brake on before he actually went over the AWS, but the trees were obscuring it a wee bit. In between the distance signal and the stop signal, it's an area that had a disused railway line round it that went up towards Forfar, so it's sheltered, and there's a lot of leaves around the place, and this was a major contributory factor. It was a damp night, and there was a lot of leaves, and basically it was a skating rink.
What we did ascertain on the evening of the 5th of November was that there was a slight, very slight contamination out towards Delta 1002R, but that was the only place that we observed any contamination of the track to the naked eye. There was no moisture attached to the track that evening at all. It was a very pleasant evening, very dry, the railhead was dry, but there was a small leaf contamination found out by Delta 1002R, which was confirmed by the swabs.
The honest truth was I was glad I was on a 170, because a 170 is recorded. There's a recorder on it, and that told the truth. They can't lie.
We've taught people to put the brake into a certain step and allow the WSP to work, because it's microprocessor controlled. It's far quicker than a human being to do it. It can operate it, and that's the right way to drive. But it does concern me slightly that a driver can put the brake on before the AWS of the distance signal. The train locks up and it takes 2 miles to stop. You know, it does concern me quite a bit. It's a particularly bad SPAD, this one. Both what could have happened and the fact that the driver couldn't have done anything else.
There had been several reports of poor adhesion at Balmossy. Only that very day, on November the 5th, a driver passing Balmossy at 7:30 in the morning had reported poor adhesion. In the cold light of day, with the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, what could have been done to prevent this near disaster?
I wished that I'd put the barriers down, but again, it's a judgment call. From the position of the monitor and the lights at Broughty Ferry station, I couldn't ascertain how bad the fire was and where the fire brigade needed to get in from. And if they had to contact me to raise the barriers to get in. That may have been valuable time wasted and possibly the whole station going up in flames. I don't know. It's a judgment call you make.
We only have 2 areas on the lines that my drivers work from Dundee over that are listed as areas of poor adhesion in the sectional appendix.
The formal investigation of this incident concluded that the immediate cause of the SPAD was rail contamination and significantly reduced levels of adhesion. The report found that a contributory factor was the infrequency of trains being brought to a stand at Delta 1002, and the fact that the area is not listed as a potentially low adhesion site. It stressed the need to carry out full and proper inspection of the rail conditions after every report of low adhesion, and the importance of signallers requesting controlled test stops as specified in the rulebook. The SPAD at Broughty Ferry could easily have resulted in a major accident. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. In the second part of this programme, we'll summarise the actions to be taken by drivers, signallers and MOMs, as specified by the rulebook. Let's begin with drivers. If as a driver you encounter low rail adhesion and have difficulty stopping, report the location to the signaller without delay. If the area of difficulty is already listed in the sectional appendix, you still need to report it if the rail condition is exceptionally poor. Use your experience to make this judgment.
This is a driver at 1 Tango 12. You receiving me over?
Following trains will be stopped and cautioned until the line has been inspected or treated. Once this has been carried out, you may be asked to make a controlled test stop. If so, brake the train to a stand using your normal braking technique for the prevailing weather and rail conditions. Once the train is stopped, report the result to the signaller. Let the signaller know whether you consider the rail adhesion to be exceptionally low. Now let's look at the response to the driver's report of low adhesion. As a signaller, you have to take into consideration some physical and geographical factors. If the area of low adhesion is on the approach to a stop signal, you'll need to inform each driver of the circumstances, unless, of course, the signal is cleared to a proceed aspect. If there's a manned level crossing within the signal overlap, you must close the crossing to road traffic before the approach of each train, even if you intend to stop the train at the signal. If there's an automatic level crossing within the signal overlap, select the non-stopping mode if there is one. If there's a station platform and the approaching train is booked to stop, make sure the driver is warned. If the train is normally routed into a dead-end platform, don't use this platform in these circumstances unless you have no alternative. Where you have to route the train to a dead-end platform, the line must be treated before a controlled test stop can be carried out. In every case, you must continue to caution trains until the line has been inspected and, if necessary, treated. Once the affected railhead has been treated, you'll need to request a controlled test stop to ensure that normal adhesion conditions have been restored. Finally, let's turn our attention to the Mobile Operations Managers, or MOMs as we call them. As the MOM, you'll be called to the site of reported low adhesion to carry out an inspection. Make sure you have the full details from the driver's report so that you inspect the right part of the line. If the driver has reported the problem to be on the approach to a station, for example, don't forget that this could mean anything from 1 mile to less than 100 yards in rear. Look for contaminants on the railhead. It could be leaf mulch, grease, oil or some other substance. If it's nothing as obvious as this, take a swab test. Don't forget to take swabs at regular intervals all the way from the break-in point to the stopping point, and clearly label each swab by mileage or some other identification of location. In every case where a SPAD or station overrun has resulted from reported low adhesion, it's vital that you take swabs. Once you've carried out your inspection, report your findings to Network Rail Control. They'll advise the signaller accordingly. In 2003, between the beginning of October and mid-December, Network Rail Scotland received 411 reports of low rail adhesion. As a result, we've set up a training programme for MOMs and other key employees on the proper procedure for swab testing. We're encouraging drivers to discuss low adhesion issues at team meetings and to bring forward this information to Network Rail for action. We're reviewing vegetation control on a yearly basis. In the case of the section between Balmossy and Broughty Ferry, removal of vegetation has already commenced. Recognising that the area has special environmental problems associated with its proximity to the Firth of Tay, both the up and down lines approaching Broughty Ferry have been designated high risk and will be added to the sectional appendix.